the Revenue Stream, a podcast by Revenue Hero. I'm your host, Vikash Kaushik, and today I'm excited to have a fellow marketer, Joseph Hill. He was the director of digital strategy at Metadata until recently when he started his own agency called Revenue. But for most of us who are in the marketing world and active on LinkedIn, we know him from his sexy ads posts. If you need creative inspiration for your next paid social campaigns, Joe is the person to follow. Joe, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
I love the agency name. Revenue has a nice ring to it. Can you tell a little bit about what you folks do?
Yeah, so Revenue, we're all just about demand gen, demand capture, and B2B marketing. So I guess startups and SaaS companies, any kind of B2B company, mainly SaaS and startups is our ideal market. And yeah, we just help come up with a story, come up with hooks to get people to act, and then turn that into sexy ads. And yeah, build some demand, then capture that demand and turn it into revenue, which is why we called Revenue.
So I want to start off with your opinion, right? Facebook ads for B2B, yay or nay?
So two answers to that. The answer is nay if you haven't got a good data provider, because at the end of the day, Facebook's data isn't great. It's like interests and vague stuff. And my Facebook page, I don't even think I've logged on to Facebook for like 3 years or so, but I definitely haven't updated my job title, even if I do go on occasionally. So they don't have the data to do it. And obviously, if you spend any marketing budget and it's spent on someone who isn't at the right company or isn't in like your realm of who you define as your ICP, it's wasted budget. Like in B2C, it's a little bit different. Like anybody might buy a car, like it's any human with some money, and that person may have money in the future and buy a fancy car. So even if you advertise Rolls Royce or Ferraris to somebody, when they make it big, they'll probably go get one. But with B2B, it's different. Like usually you have a career, you have an industry, and you either work in B2B or you don't, or you either work in a certain role or you don't. And you need to make sure that you're pre-qualifying your audience if you're going to use Facebook. And the only way to do that with the right companies and the right job titles is with a data provider. And I'm a bit biased on the fact that I would recommend Metadata and then MetaMatch products because I've worked there, but here's my obviously biased. I'll let you know. There's a few other providers out there as well. But basically, the answer is yes, if you have a data provider, because you have a cheaper cost per milli, or CPM, as people call it. So LinkedIn's CPM is like, I don't know, I've seen it get up there with $200 for 1,000 impressions. And it's so expensive. On Facebook, I've seen it be as low as $10. So it's 20 times cheaper sometimes to advertise on Facebook than it is LinkedIn. And as long as you have the right audience, that's that. Like you may not be appearing on like a business platform, but you are appearing in front of your target audience if you've got a good data provider, and it's 20 times cheaper. So I don't know.
There's also been a lot of recent updates to Facebook. Have you had a chance to sort of like experiment with those? I think very recently they rolled out B2B targeting interest, that sort of stuff.
Yes, I've seen them, but they're pretty vague, and like it's not the best stuff. Like job title targeting is still hardwired to Facebook profiles, and because of that, they're just not going to nail the persona. They may be able to give you a vague idea of the companies you want to go after and people who are interested in certain things, but it doesn't matter if you haven't laser focused. Like I've used some of the stuff that's available on LinkedIn, right? You've got like functions, skills, interests, member groups on LinkedIn, and they're still not the best. Like it's all about the type of data you use and the context behind it. And the only way you can make sure for a fact you're not wasting any of your marketing budget is by uploading company URLs and uploading job titles. And that is like the gold standard. And that's why LinkedIn is winning, because their job title targeting and their company targeting allows you to do that. Third-party data providers allow you to do it as well, and you plug straight into Facebook. So yeah, I think I've used a little bit of the Facebook data. I've played around with it, but it's a bit vague. It's not the best.
Yeah. So we use MetaMatch over here at Revenue Hero, and I think the way I sort of describe it when I talk to my friends and peers is the reason why we use MetaMatch is because I know we want to reach our messaging to a certain set of people, and with MetaMatch, I can ensure that's possible across channels, right? And I know I have a certain a better amount of confidence in my head that hey, yes, we are definitely reaching our target audience, right? So that's how I usually describe it to my friend. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the question is always like Facebook and Twitter. Is it worth doing Facebook? They've actually just launched an integration with Twitter. Facebook or Insta. No, it was Facebook or LinkedIn was normally the debate. It's like Facebook, like we use LinkedIn, but should we start using Facebook? But now, love him or hate him, Elon Musk obviously changed it to X, whatever you want to call it. I still call it Twitter. I refuse to call it X. But if you use MetaMatch, you can also push to X as well. And like that's going to be, and the thing is, these platforms, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and there's going to be further ones down the pipeline. All these different tools, they all use different data and they're all massively restricted in what they can do. And Mark Zuckerberg's been dragged through the court. So he's reluctant to use any data and everyone is going to be very standoffish. And so the only way to often do social media to a really high quality is to have a third-party data provider.
We've already dived in a little deep, but before we go any further, I'd love to hear from you a hot marketing take that you have that probably many people disagree with.
Yeah, so every Friday I pretty much post a meme about it, and it is ebooks. So there's definitely there's an old marketing behavior which every single B2B company has done at one point in their life. And a lot of them still invest most of their budget on it. And it's here's a report, here's an ebook, here's a piece of gated content, and I want your email in order to read it. Now, I recently saw a survey by, I think his name's Maurice Maxwell. Sorry, Maurice, if you ever see this and I've got your name wrong. But he did a poll and it was basically who's downloaded an ebook and actually read it. And 65% of people said that they've never downloaded an ebook and read it. And it's like, I know a lot of people go through LinkedIn and save posts. I'm guilty. I'm like, save, that's good. I'll read that later because I'm lazy and I don't want to read it now. And everyone hoards information. Now I've got books on my bookshelf I haven't read. I've got posts in LinkedIn I've saved that I've not read. And I'm pretty sure that 75% of people who download ebooks also just have it sat in their desktop and they've never read it. So at that point, it's like, okay, what are we getting out of this interaction? We say we've got an ebook. They say they want it. Cool. We get an email. And then the most common thing that a B2B company will do is give that email to a salesperson. That salesperson will try and ring or email that person and say, okay, you downloaded our ebook. It's time you buy our software now. But no one does that. No one downloads an ebook and then magically goes, this ebook was so good, I'm going to buy your software tomorrow. Like, it doesn't happen. What people actually do is they learn about a lot of different things, a lot of different companies and what they do. They learn about the problems they need to solve and how they can solve them. And then when it's time, the person, the customer, will then be like, okay, I'm ready to learn more about a product and learn about pricing and maybe even buy it. But it doesn't happen just because you force an ebook on somebody. And what's the best way to actually get information into someone's head? It's not by gating something. So ultimately, it's a game of maths. And do you want to collect emails of people who won't actually be ready to buy? Or do you want 20 times the amount of people to actually get your message and reach out when they're ready to buy? And that is the scale and a lot of companies are doing ungated now. And this is the reason why. But a lot of companies, they need a lead. They need to say, I've had a 20% increase in leads. But like, is it really a lead? Like the name lead is like, oh, I've got a lead on someone who can buy my software. And someone downloaded an ebook is not that. So there's not all leads. This is a phrase I use all the time. Not all leads are created equal. And everyone needs to start factoring that in. And that's my hot take.
If I think about it, right, if people are pushing for an ebook download, right, assuming they give their email what's to say that they're actually giving their real email ID, right? I'm a marketer. If somebody is going to ask me for my email ID, I know what they're capable of doing after I give them my personal information, right? So I'm definitely not going to give my actual email ID. I have a bunch of fake email IDs that I created just for this.
Yeah, I feel like it's so that these tactics did work when when your inbox wasn't as bombarded as it is today. The tactic used to work. Get an email them, nurture them through emails. Like these used to work. And cold email is still a legit channel. But the way that cold email works is either you do it at a really high amount of scale, so you get like hundreds of thousands of emails and blitz them because the conversion rate's so low, or you have a few and you have a salesperson who creates like they'd write down their name on a whiteboard and hold it up like if imagine if I sent you an email as a salesperson and I put Revenue Hero on a whiteboard, took the time to do that and held it up like, hey, I'm trying to talk to you, and you personalize it. So it's either insane scale or insane personalization. But these middle of the ground emails just sent after ebooks by an automated engine, not at scale, but just like after you've downloaded the content, and that means each email probably costs you $50 to $100, and like there's a ton of email providers out there that you can get them for cents. Like you can get people's emails for literally like 1 cent and like at scale. So cold email can work, but this way of doing it doesn't work anymore. And so it's really up to us to, if you ever get stuck in your old ways, and I was stuck in my old ways. I used to be like, email marketing doesn't work. And then I got given a ton of evidence from people's internal data that email marketing does work, but it's when it's personalized or when it's at insane scale. And I've now changed my idea, which is ebooks and PDFing your ebook doesn't work. There's definitely a value of getting content out there, and long form content in particular, but having it as a PDF, I just don't think is the best route. And it's up to us to realize there are changes in user behavior. To your point, every single time someone asks me for my phone number, I write out all 11 digits and then change the last one. So the first 10 digits are my actual phone number, but then I change 9 at the end to 8. And if I do my email, I write out all my email, and then just before the @ sign, I add 1, just the number 1. And it's like, everyone's doing this. This is a trending thing. And if we don't acknowledge the lengths what people are going to not get sold to and address our marketing in that direction, like you're going to be left with a ton of leads that never want to buy your software. And that's not where you want to be.
Love it. I want to talk a little bit about something you posted yesterday, and I think you wrote something along the lines of every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and how you should be able to tie that back, how you should be able to connect your product with that, and your ads should sort of also have something along the same lines. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
100%. So at the end of the day, if you're selling technology, you are solving a problem. So a lot of, like in B2C, people sell other things. Like there was a story, I think everyone's seen the new Nike movie now, but there was the same shoe was not being sold, and then Michael Jordan sponsored it, and then everyone bought it. Now, why did they do that? Well, it's because of insecurity. People thought that they weren't good enough, so if they associate themselves with a shoe, which Michael Jordan wears, they'll be a little bit more like Mike, which is hilarious because the actual slogan was, be like Mike, which if you rephrase that, it is, you're not good enough, you need to be like Mike, go buy my shoes. And so they cashed in on insecurities, right? But that B2B is not like that. It's business cases, it's huge sums of money. And in order to do that, you need to solve a problem. And so I think and I think it goes back to Eugene Schwartz and all these founders of this methodology, which is, or not methodology, but ideology, which is everything starts with a problem. Storytelling is an art. So the problem that you solve is the beginning. So that's like the hero story is there's a dragon and it's come into the village and the dragon's running around burning buildings down. That's the problem. The solution is how you solve that. Now, ideally, you want to position the hero is the customer. you're not the hero. You are like the guide to that hero. And this comes down to Joseph Campbell's hero story. And the solution is you need this really fancy sword to go kill the dragon. So you become the sword and you put it in the hero's hand. And that's the middle part of the story. Then the hero goes into the village, slays the dragon. They live happily ever after. He gets the other, it could be a female hero. They get a wonderful partner. They get all the admiration. And that's why they should solve it. And obviously no one else dies because there was a dragon in the village, right? So it's like, this is the story. Now, you can go a step further in the story and you can have, like, for example, consequences if you don't solve it. So, for example, you got what do you solve, how do you solve it, why you should solve it. But then what happens if you don't solve it? Which is the dragon literally lives in that village and kills everybody. Like, that's not good. Like, you need to sometimes antagonize that problem. And another thing is you need to talk about who you've solved it for and that have that social proof so they can see you can actually solve that problem. And I think social proof was huge 5 years ago. It's all anyone spoke about, but it's kind of not really spoken about too much nowadays, but it's still human psychology. It's how it works. And so if the grand wizard came along with this sword and gave it to the hero's probably like, you're giving me a sword to kill a dragon. You really think I'm going to be able to do that? And you go, yes, because this sword was used by this hero to kill this dragon, and this hero to kill this dragon, and this hero to kill this dragon. It is the dragon slayer, right? And they saved so many people and all that stuff. So you need that social proof alongside your story.
Amazing, amazing. And because you've been doing this hashtag sexy ads, have you seen some companies tie this to their ads really well?
Yeah, so one of the companies I'm always talking about is Cognizant. So shout out to all the team at Cognizant. I love what they're doing. I'll just show some of their ads. 1 second, I'll share my screen again. Okay, so for example, this is a great one. So this is the demand generation ad. So for example, things sales reps would rather do than prospect with bad data. Update the CRM, look at their bank account after a heavy weekend. What is that doing there? Looking at your bank account after a heavy, that's not B2B. That's actually a funny joke that a human would make to another human. Well, that's the point. You don't want to be a business talking to another business. You want to be a person talking to another person. Reply to their grandma's birthday message on Facebook. Like, that's got no place in a boardroom, but it has got place in your B2B social media ads. Unblock the office toilet. Toilets? Come on. And the thing is, it's going to make people laugh. Salespeople are going to laugh at this. And if you can, I think there's an old saying that you can laugh your way to someone's heart. You can also make someone laugh to the point where they open up their wallet and give you all the money. And that's what Cognizant do here. And another example is everyone does Wordle, right? So claim your free leads in a Wordle format. So if you do Wordle, you see that, you look at it. So it's just, you want to make your ads not look like ads. Another one here is kind of social proof here. So, hey, I'm based in Europe. I found Zoom info to be really poor since GDPR for EU data. We currently use Apollo, but we're doing a test against Cognizant. Some random person, where did you end up? We found Cognizant is much better. Like this random thing on Reddit. Everyone reads Reddit screenshots. So it's like, again, it's all about problem, how you solve it, why you should solve it, and then bringing it to life in a good way. And there's this formula is what I usually follow, which is clear copy plus a relevant visual times a powerful story will make a good advert. So you have to be clear and rememberable. If your message is too complicated, no one's going to remember it. A relevant visual, that means it's got to be relevant to what your story is and then the copy. But ideally, you need to like bring it to life a little bit as well. You need to add a little bit of sexy ads to it. And then also the powerful story. If you haven't got an idea of what you want to say, how on earth are you supposed to simplify it? And this is the problem, is people go, they start making an advert, they start writing, but they do not have their story up on the other screen or to the left of them. And you need to know the message, the overall sentiment which you're trying to portray before you start creating your ad, because only then you can start thinking of creative ways to tell it. And that's what Cognizant do very well. Cognizant know exactly what it is they're trying to do, and then they make it interesting. And that's the difference between them and other brands.
I love it. I love it. Do you see any very specific frameworks that work apart from what you've shared so far? Like when you say, trying to make it a little bit funny, one thing that we've been trying internally is trying to make use of memes, right? Everybody loves a good meme. Have you seen something along those lines?
Definitely, yeah. So I've got a few more diagrams. Just honestly, I just make diagrams in my spare time. I should be out doing other things. I should be going to the gym, but I just sit there and make diagrams. But this one is just a few different ones about how to bring copy to life. So the time to value. So it's in 30 days, you will make more money doing after giving us this, whatever, like just the time to value. You've got rhyming, you've got breaking the fourth wall, future versus past, familiar positioning. So, like the familiar positioning is what the Cognizant ad did when they started relating to looking into the bank account after a heavy weekend. It's like they're taking that idea, that sense inside of somebody, and then applying it to their product. There's a few other here as well. And there's also a few ways to bring it to life with like psychology. So the law of candor is a great one. I don't see this being used. I think the law of candor is probably one of the most underutilized psychological laws. So if I was selling Revenu as an agency, right, I would say, we don't manage your website because we're not that great at code. But what we are great at is ads. It's what we do, it's in our DNA, and we will make you the sexiest ads you've ever seen. And then we will take those ads and show them to only the right people at the right companies with the right job titles, and we will optimize that like nobody else. But don't ask us to do your website because it's not what we do. That is me being honest. I'm not saying I can do everything. I'm saying what I can't do in order to make you believe what I can do more. And no one wants to do it because no one wants to point out the negatives. But by doing so, it's a psychological hack. And there's a lot of other ones in here as well. And then there's some visuals as well. You've got before and afters, diagrams, testimonials, product examples, and then obviously memes, incentives. Now, this isn't an exhaustive list, but I think it's good just to have some ideas, some frameworks, so you can take them and digest them into your idea, but also loads of ads that you can look at and use as inspiration. And that's basically what the ad library is that I created. Like, I use this myself. I load this up and make ads, and it's a spark sometimes.
I love it. I love it. Because you brought up the gating and ungating thing, I want to go back and touch on that a little bit again. Since you were at Metadata, in my mind, at least personally, I think Metadata, the folks at Metadata did a really wonderful job educating the market about when you should gate, or first of all, whether you should gate or ungate. And a topic that is sort of parallel to it is again demand generation versus lead generation, right? How do you sort of view that? And one of the things that I see a lot of folks, especially folks who are trying to switch from lead gen to demand gen, the place where they struggle a lot, and personally even I did early on, is trying to keep track of metrics, right? Because if you're taking the lead gen route, you have one or two metrics, and you can basically just look at one metric, look at the cost per lead, see if it is going up or see if it is going down, and start making changes over there. So, what are some of the things that you've seen on those two fronts?
Yeah, definitely. It's a hard move. Companies will have a steady income of leads and emails that they can, so the marketing team generate emails and they give them to sales, and then sales reach out. But again, Cognizant did some great stuff. One thing they did is they was completely honest about their conversion rate of their internal gated content campaign. And it was like the conversion rate was like 0.14% from like a lead to like an opportunity or something. I can't remember the exact statistic, but it was like, oh, wow. And then they looked at just the conversion rate of somebody who came to the website and clicked book a demo. What happened then? And what they found is people who type in the URL, press enter, and then click book a demo and then come in, they are 10 times, or like, I think it was like 2,000, I can't remember, and a lot more. I think it was like 20% or something converted into an actual customer. So it was like, okay, well, how do we get more people who come through the website and just like book a demo versus gated content. Then there's another factor, which is if you go out and go, here's a $100 gift card, come and book a demo with me, that's a different interaction than someone naturally coming to you and asking for a demo. And all these types of leads have different conversion rates. And you need to acknowledge that first. You need to be like, okay, let's split the funnel and see where things are coming from. So there's one visual that I quite like. I'll show this one as well, which is splitting the funnel. So it's very important to think about different things. So inbound marketing is someone coming to you. Outbound marketing is you going to them, and outbound sales is you going to them. Same with inbound sales. It's like someone who's come through an inbound marketing channel and then goes straight to sales. So there's all these different methods. Now, obviously, not everyone will agree with exactly how I've split this out. Sometimes I split it out different as well. It's just to give that overall example. So of all these different channels and different ways of someone coming through, self-declared intent via the website is like up there. Like someone just coming to the website and requesting a demo out of nowhere converts so well. But why? Well, the reason why is because, and it's not just that, it's brand search. Like if someone looks at a brand search term versus a non-brand search term, brand search always converts better. Why is that? Retargeting versus prospecting. Why does retargeting work? Now, some people see that and they go, I'm only going to spend budget on retargeting and brand because it gets so much of a high ROI there. It's like, well, you could be emptying the well, because if you only invest on people who already know about you, then how on earth are other people supposed to know about you? And if you're a small company, that's death to your pipeline because you don't have a huge brand awareness. Now, if you're a big company, you might get away with it because there's just so much word of mouth and knowledge about the brand. But if you're a small company, you're a startup, just thinking that your brand term and your retargeting is where you should invest the budget and not acknowledging why is really going to hurt you long term. And that's where demand gen comes in. But the way to measure demand gen is to split out the parts of your funnel that are converting very high, but only convert because of a premeditated idea of who the brand is. So if someone types in the URL and converts, obviously they knew the URL somehow. Like they didn't just like go, I think I'm going to buy from Revenu today, www.revenueagency.io. Like that doesn't happen. They need to have obviously known about you. And so you need to think about brand, retargeting, direct, organic brand search, and organic social as a direct impact of the demand generation activities that you're doing. When those channels perform well and they grow and they head in a general direction, it's because you invested in your ungated content, in brand awareness, in telling your story, all these different things that can help get these highest performing channels to scale. Now, there's a lot of people out there with a lot of ideas of how to do this. There's a lot of people who say, don't look at this type of attribution because it's broken and it's all based on last click and last interactions and pixels and cookies are getting destroyed everywhere. They say, just look at your overall inbound demo requests and only focus on that. And it's like, everyone likes simplifying things. If you can say you're the person who's simplified an idea to one thing and that's all you should care about, it's a great way to sell some snake oil. But ultimately, there's a lot of ways you need to look at things. You need to look at things tracked in attribution like this. You also need to think about self-reported attribution and think about how you can capture that. So when you are converting, where did you hear about us? LinkedIn, Google, like all that. You can have all the different self-reported attribution options. And also have a way for someone to get more context from a demo call. The salesperson has to find out, did they see your LinkedIn ads? Just quick questions. Get that from sales, feed that back in. And you've got all of that information. So you have your attribution, you have your self-reported attribution, you have data-driven attribution, self-reported attribution, and then sales collected attribution. You have all these different reports that you need to look at. You need to take in where they've come from and factor that in and have multiple views to really see overall what's working. Now, it's hard to do. This is why it's a trending topic. Everyone has, this is what I do, simplified version, or here's how I do it. Ultimately, it's tough to, and the thing is, when you look at things this way and you start, and this is why I like the direct and the brand and the retargeting. If you can split those out in your reporting and they start going in the right direction, they can be used as a direct piece of data to go back to your CEO and get more money for demand generation activities. But it's tough at the end of the day. Like at the end, you still kind of have to keep the lead generation going. So you might have to just start shrinking your budget on gated content and increase your ungated content. Start talking less about content you've made and more about the product and your problems and how you solve them and case studies and testimonials, because that's how people learn. But it's a tough. Obviously, I could keep going. It's a very, very complicated subject.
Yeah, and one of the things that the way you explain this, right? One of the things that I love about it is how the how the ungated content sort of feeds into your demand generation, right? And once you ungate your content, right, people can start sharing it on social. It can act as a way for you to get traffic through organic, right? Versus if you just kept it as just an ebook in a PDF format, there's only one way for you to sort of distribute that, right? And I love how the ungating mechanism sort of feeds into your demand generation thought process, and then how that feeds into your metrics, the attribution, all that stuff on the other side.
Exactly, yeah. And so I worked about 3 years in SEO when I was younger. That was my first marketing job. And then I quickly was like, I can't just dramatically improve results in SEO as much as I'd like. I'd like to just throw more budget at it and just have an immediate impact. And that's what led me to going down the paid marketing route and the social media and Google and all that stuff. But I really like the fact, because I've got this expertise in SEO from many years ago, the principles inside me. And I think everyone talks about ungated content, they talk about gated content, and they talk about it as a way of telling a story. They talk about it as a way of being more effective. Like we showed earlier, 20 times more people are going to see your message if you ungate something and don't have a form. And then you have like the lead factor, the lead quality. But one thing that, like, the biggest, I think, unspoken truth about ungating your content is it can have a dramatic impact in your organic SEO and massively spike that to the top. So I just want to do one thing as well, which I think is a good, and we'll stick with Cognizant for this example, just because we're giving them a lot of love. But if you go on here and you type in, that's something weird. This is incognito, so I haven't been searching for the Icelandic volcano eruption. But if I type in here, ebook marketing 2024 or something like that, and I press search. So we've got a lot of ads here. Number one result on, so if I skip all the ads, number one result is this, and it was posted, so it's about 17 days ago. Now this is basically an ebook. It just goes on forever. You can see the little scroll at the bottom, at the right hand side. It's very, very big. This is a resource. This is something that would perform very well if you were to gate it and start forcing people to give their email for it. But they haven't done that. They just put it on their website, and then they have, as you can see, the nav is here. So when it comes to gated content resources, you should forget everything you've ever learned about landing pages. You want the nav there because you want people to read your content and go onto the nav, versus when it's a paid landing page, you don't want them to go on the nav, you want them to stay on the page. You've got to reverse that methodology and then add in book a demo. Like, there's a call to actions all over this. And you've also got subtle links out to different pages and different blogs where you can go. And this is ranking number one on organic SEO. This is going to get a lot of traffic in the next couple of years. And it's going to be potentially introducing Cognizant to a new market and letting them know that they're the expert. And then people probably want to learn more about it. So this is Cognizant. This is like content marketing done at its finest, because it really highlights, and this is why I used Cognizant for this example, is they're already ranking at number one. And it's not because I've been on this site before, it's because this is an incognito window. This is because it literally is the best piece of content, and Google recognizes that. So there's a few ways to get to this point. There's two ways, I think. So you could just initially make an amazing resource and then put it on your website, ungate it, have a great nav on the side so you can click around, but ultimately navigate it and just push it out there with ungated content and let organic SEO boost your site and all that different stuff, right? And not only is that going to boost your organic SEO for that term, it's going to increase your domain health, all of those different factors, which are going to let you rank for the terms that are the money terms. Like, for example, data for like data enrichment and things like that. Google knows it's a good website, you're doing good stuff, it's going to help everything else in your organic SEO too. The other factor is if you've got a piece of gated content, it's the best performer, it's amazing, but it's starting to decline. Its performance isn't necessarily driving the low CPL that you want. Cool. Use it for 3 months as a gated resource, then use it, repurpose it as an ungated resource in this way. So you can have the gated content. You can have what's this phrase? You can have your cake and eat it too. You can have the gated content if you have to do it that way. Then you can use it as an ungated resource, boost your organic SEO by recycling it on the back end. And I honestly think that it's such a good little tactic to boost your organic SEO. And you may have 5, 6, 7 ebooks that have just been made, gated. No one goes to those landing pages anymore. They're just sat. And all that effort went into that content and they never made it to be recycled to help your organic SEO. And sometimes all you have to do is change 10% of it, and it's now the guide for 2024.
That's a lovely way to put it. And you can also sort of, once you've ungated it, you can also use it to, like, you can create paid social ads and sort of start sending people directly to the ungated version, start seeing what the engagement is like on the page and see if that is resonating and that sort of stuff. So one of the things that I would love to hear what you're seeing. I'm like, by now you've seen a whole lot of ads. I've been doing the sexy ads campaign as well. You were at metadata. I'm sure that there are no silver bullets over here. But if you have to sort of share a couple of top mistakes that you see a lot of folks do when it comes to paid social, especially on their creatives, what are some of the things over there?
Yeah, so biggest mistake, too much text. Like, at the end of the day, everyone can relate to this. If you have a mate, right, and he's sent you a text and it's huge. Now, I'm guilty of that. I've got a lot to say, right? So sometimes I'm like, about to send. And you send out these really long paragraphs and then no one responds. And it's like, they're your friends. Like, I know they're my friends. I'm just probably sending, I'm like, everyone's busy. Everyone's got their own life. They'll probably get back to me in 2 to 3 business days. Who knows? But like, if I send paragraphs, it's harder to respond to it. And if your friends sometimes take longer to respond to your long messages, right? How do you think people who don't know you and know that you're a company are going to respond to long paragraphs? And the answer is not very well. So the max you'll give somebody, and like someone walks up to you in the street, they're about to say something, you're usually like, all right, I'll let them say one sentence. And then that sentence is donate to my charity. And it's like some kind of like immoral money building charity where 90% of the money goes to the infrastructure and 10% goes to the actual cause. Or it's like someone hard selling a new internet provider, whatever it is. Like, normally humans won't just go, no thanks. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they let you say a sentence and then they say no thanks. So the max you can usually get out of somebody, whether it's in person or it's out there in the real world, or if it's in the real world or it's on digital, is 1 or 2 sentences max. So on every single ad, you can see in the sexy ads library, pretty much there's one thing that runs through all of the ads, and it is simplified messages in the actual ad, 1 sentence. And then if we go to another one, this is a little bit different because it's supposed to rip off the internal notes inside of a phone. But again, it's not that much text. Even though they're doing a UGC rip off of the notes, it's 1 sentence, 3 bullet points, that's it. But like it's like there's very little text on most of these ads. Some of them are creative and have a little bit more text. And if you are more creative, you can increase the text a little bit. But if you're just hitting people with product screenshots, you need 1 sentence and that's all you're allowed. That should get the attention of, and this is obviously Revenue Hero, you guys know that, 1 sentence at the top, that's it. And then you have a diagram. So it's, yeah, The biggest mistake is too much text and not enough focus on the visual. The second is not really like a clear, enticing headline. So if you click learn more, where do you think you're going to go right now? So it says here, identify where your sales calls are going wrong. So if you click learn more, you think you're going to be able to do that. Okay, that's fine. But are we going to a case study? Are we going to a blog? Are we going to a product page? Are we going, like, where are we going? I think letting people know in advance where you're about to take them will let people let you lead them down that road. Like, are we going to a case study? Are we going to a blog? Are we going to learn more about the product? Like, where are we actually going? So like this, for example, try the live demo. If I click learn more, I know where I'm going. And I think that's the thing. It's like, if you're like, if the marketing is what's behind door number 1 and you don't know, how many people are going to open that door? I think that's one thing to factor in as well.
Interesting. Yeah, I love that. So one of the things that I've seen while I was browsing for some creative inspirations and stuff is people are now also adding in brackets in the heading, in the headline, saying read the blog post followed by some heading copy, and then you have the learn more button, right? So I don't know if that works, but now that you've brought this up, maybe this works.
Definitely. Yeah, I think so. One thing on Facebook is you get a headline and a description. So one of my old tactics used to be, I guess I say old tactics, it's still a current tactic. But it was usually when I was selling gated content, not selling, but like getting loads of gated content leads. And I would have the title of the gated content, and then I would say 25-minute read or 5-minute read. And that would basically say the length of what it is they're going to click to. If it's long, they think, wow, this is a really big piece of content. If it's short, they think, oh, it's bite-sized. But at least I'm saying, like, this is what you're going to get. Do you want it? Like, I'm being honest with you. You don't have to come to the page and then bounce. You don't have to open the form and then bounce. You don't have to download it and then be upset with you expecting something else. So it's setting that expectation. You should always make sure that you've set the expectation of what that next step is going to be. And so I think read the blog, great. I think 25-minute read or something, great. Any way to set the expectation will make sure that you fulfill their expectations when they start going down that journey with you.
Amazing. I love it. Sweet. Awesome. I think we covered pretty extensively on a lot of stuff related to paid social. But before I let you go, I have a couple of quick fire questions. So, first question, what's a tactic or a channel that you're seeing work really well, but not a lot of people know about it?
Conversation ads. It always shocks me how many people haven't tried conversation ads yet.
Oh, we haven't tried it yet too, so
Ah!
I'm gonna go and
It's a very, very good performer, conversation ads, but a lot of people still haven't tried it for the first time. So yeah, definitely give it a go. I think the cost per demo, I think I can count on my hand the amount of times that an image ad has outperformed a conversation ad for the same conversion point. And that's also gated content, like or demand gen. I think conversation ads underrated. It costs like 79 cents or something to get a message into someone's inbox. Like, that's amazing.
Nice. Okay, I've got to go test it out. Any tips for me to watch out over there?
Yeah, so think about the conversation ad as a bot. So you have one opening message. So you want to try and get someone to click the buttons, and it's yes, go to whatever you want them to, or no. Then make sure you have a second pitch. So it's primary message, yes or no. Yes, go there. No, next message. Inside that message, try and sell it another different way. Yes, go to the whatever you want them to. No, consolation message comes up. Consolation message is no worries, that's fine. However, check this out instead. And then at least you've got 3 attempts at getting value out of that person in the automated chat responses. And so usually it's demo, case study. So primary message demo, secondary message pushing the demo. Still no, okay, well, check out this case study or check out this video or check out like something to consolidate. Like a lot of people, they'll push and they'll push and they'll push. And then if it's no, it's just, okay, fine. But you want to get something out of it. So always have a constellation backup plan, which is more value, but less of an ask.
Nice. I love that. I'm going to test it out sometime later this week. Awesome. Cool. Who are some of your favorite marketers that you think our listeners should go and follow?
Joseph Hill, founder at Revenu Agency. He's a great marketer. You should go follow him. Nah, I'd say marketers that I follow, which give some of the best content. So Maxime Polston, he's really good. I really like Canberg Becker. He's really good. He's over at Cognizant. Tim Davidson is the guy who cuts fruit. Is always interesting to follow. Trying to think off the top of my head. Robert Katai, he's also really good. He's talking a lot about like the influencer's journey and the content. Who else? There's a ton out there. But yeah, I'd love to get the folks over at content. Oh, the Hockey Stack guys as well. The Hockey Stack team are always posting stuff. There's a few of those people. So look at all the leadership board of the Hockey Stack folks. They're always posting stuff. And Gil at Metadata as well. He's always posting stuff. He puts a lot of effort into his content, so I definitely follow him. They're probably my top.
Amazing. Sweet. Yeah. And where can people find and connect with you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, Joseph Hill, founder at Revenu. My website is Revenu Agency without an E. So it's revenue without an E, agency.io. But you can go to my LinkedIn or you can go to my site and book a call with me one-to-one if you want to talk more about improving your marketing. We can hop on a call. I can show you what we do. I can do a quick audit. And then if I impress you enough, maybe we'll work together as well. Also, I'll do a quick flash up of the library as well. So a lot of people like this library. So I've basically got 350 ads, which I basically follow the principles that I've laid out today. So some great brands. So we've got memes in here, we've got demo ads, we've got case studies, we've got a ton of stuff. So if you want this library of I think it's 341 ads, let me know. I'll send it into a DM, but you got to come follow me first. And I've also got one.
I love it.
I was going to say, I've also got one for Google Ads as well, which is an underrated topic. I think a lot of Google Ads is boring. You got to bring it to life. You got to make sure the copy shines. And I've got a library doing exactly the same thing for all the Google Ads stuff as well.
Ooh, I've never seen that. I'm going to come hit you up on LinkedIn and request for that.
Sounds good.
Sweet. Amazing. Thanks a lot for your time, Joseph. Thanks a lot for hopping on the podcast show with us today. For everyone listening to the show, go follow Joseph Hill. Go check out Revenu Agency. I'll catch you all in the next one. See you.